Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you having a great weekend. Alright, let's get right into the news here because there's quite to cover on this Saturday. And it was only a matter of time before Liz Cheney decided to go ahead and roll her father in front of a camera to make sure he gave her a ringing endorsement in this upcoming election in Wyoming, because this primary where Liz Cheney is down by over 30 points to her opponent Harriet Hageman, who has been backed by President Trump to replace Liz Cheney, the same person who voted to impeach Donald Trump, the same person who now sits at the head of the Witch Hunt Committee, the January 6th committee, as they make plans on how to deter President Trump from running for re-election in 2020. For that same Liz Cheney, who has turned her back on the people of Wyoming, who has not really set foot in the state of Wyoming to address issues that the state of Wyoming really needs to have address. No, she's too busy basking in the limelight of the mainstream media and of the affirmation of her fellow swamp people within that country and within that country within that swamp, and DC. So let's kind of get into this coming to us. It says Dick Cheney in our nation's 246 history, there has never been an individual who is a greater threat to the republic than Donald Trump. Really? Dick Cheney, same person who lied about the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, that we need to go invade Iraq. How many soldiers died because of that? How many civilians died because of your bloodthirsty warmongering? You and President George W. Bush got us into a conflict that we are still dealing with today. And you want to say that President Trump is the greatest threat to democracy or the republic? Get out of here. Cheney stepped out from behind the curtain on Thursday to cut a campaign ad for his baby girl Liz Cheney. Dick Cheney is famous for lying to the American public about the WMDs in Iraq and Iraqi connection to 9/11, which led to the Iraq War to destructive debacle, killed 1,000s of American soldiers, injured 1,000s more, and killed tens of 1,000s of Iraqis. The war also cost the U.S. Treasury trillions of dollars, but Dick Cheney's powers in the military-industrial complex did quite well. On Thursday, Dick Cheney released a campaign, At First a Little Girl Now We Know Where Lids Get Her Gift of line. Cheney says in our nation's 246 history we've never been an individual who did greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. Cheney goes on to say how proud he is of his baby girl. The primary cannot come soon enough. Here we go. Let's take a little lesson. This even though they say what the real goal is, what's the real goal is to make sure Donald Trump never run for re-election, never goes to the Oval Office, that is unable to run for president. That is the whole goal of January 6th permission, as nothing more than that is a complete witch hunt. As we talked about, so yeah, Liz Cheney is absolutely done, you know. She is desperate and she has to roll her aging father out to lie for her some more. The primary for Wyoming cannot come soon enough, so we can reject another coward from Wyoming who much rather Powell ran with Democrats in the media than actually be around Wyoming. And we love Ron DeSantis so much. And this is the difference, that a strong governor of a state can make an actual difference. That's the beauty of Ultra MAGA. Republicans, when they say they're going to do something, they do it regardless of the fear-mongering and the garbage hit pieces from the mainstream media or political opponents like Nikki Fried for a leader like Ron DeSantis. It's all just a bunch of noise, which he immediately discards into the trash bin and proceeds to do the right thing. Governor Ron DeSantis, firing on all cylinders, once again, claiming he doesn't want the state of Florida to go the direction of Los Angeles with state prosecutors, district attorneys and their far left-wing soft-on-crime approach of not prosecuting crimes. Ron DeSantis says unequivocally not going to happen in the Sunshine State, and immediately takes executive action to suspend the state attorney Andrew Warren. Effective immediately. That right there, folks, is how change is made. That right there, folks, is how you get a job done. You don't play no games, and especially no games with the media, and you just do the right thing and move on to the next one, completely ignoring all of the noise and the garbage narratives. Ron DeSantis strikes again. Folks, it's been another base week in the state of Florida, thanks to Governor DeSantis. Let me update you guys on exactly what's going on here. So let's roll the tape. Alright, folks, so of course, you should probably just hear it from the man himself. This right here, friends, is why Ron DeSantis continues to prove that he is a political superstar, not just a good governor. You know, people thought Mitt Romney was a good governor. Look how that story ended. Governor Ron DeSantis is in another stratosphere. Another universe. Governor Ron DeSantis is a superstar. Everyone listen to this. He said, Our government is a government of laws, not a government of men. And what that means is that we govern ourselves based on a constitutional system, and based on the rule of law. But yet we've seen across this country over the last few years, individual prosecutors take it upon themselves to determine which laws they like and enforce, and which laws they don't like and then don't enforce. And the results of this in cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco had been catastrophic. You could go in San Francisco and steal a certain amount of merchandise. And you just would, by definition, not be prosecuted. That has undermined public safety, and has really hurt these communities and has been devastating to the rule of law. So as I saw that happening across the country earlier this year, I asked my staff in my office to look around the state of Florida, and to make sure that was not going to happen here, where you would have individual prosecutors nullify laws that were enacted by the people's representatives. They spoke with law enforcement throughout the state, they spoke with and it all came back to this area here, the 13th Judicial Circuit in Hillsborough County. And the response that we got was a lot of frustration on the part of law enforcement for criminals being let go and crimes not being prosecuted. When you flagrantly violate your oath of office, when you make yourself above the law, you have violated your duty, you have neglected your duty, and you are displaying a lack of competence to be able to perform those duties. And so today, we are suspending State Attorney Andrew Warren affected in media. Okay, exactly like I told you guys, Governor Ron DeSantis isn't playing any games in other states where you have these rogue state attorneys interpret the law or enforce the law the way they see fit. And Ron DeSantis very clearly said not in the state of Florida, the law is the law and it will be enforced. And clearly what Ron DeSantis is trying to do here is avoid the California occasion of the state of Florida. That's the last thing you want. I mean, if you really think about it, what's been happening in the United States over the last few decades can essentially amount to the California occasion of the United States. And that's been an absolute utter disaster. And now we're seeing the pendulum shift. I mean, even in California, it's happening. Of course, it's not going to happen in the same way. I mean, Governor Gavin Newsom is never going to act, but the people part of different cities and different municipalities had had enough, and most recently in San Francisco voting 2 out Chesa Boudin were booed as well. In Florida, you don't exactly have the same issue. Instead, you have Governor Ron DeSantis, who's willing to take the heat himself and just get the job done in situations where he has the power to do so, flexing his executive power to do the right thing for the state across the board, in California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, I mean, really wherever you are, if you have a woke school board indoctrinating your children with absolute garbage, well, people residing in different school districts would have to fight to clean up the curriculum. Well, not in the state of Florida, because once again, you have Governor Ron DeSantis. Who's got your back? Here's a tweet from Ron DeSantis. As students head back to their classrooms this fall, I'm happy to clear up any confusion the media may have about appropriate curriculum math, reading and writing checkmark. Okay, critical race theory, inappropriate content and non-binary ideology is a big no in the state of Florida. Florida schools will educate children, not indoctrinate them again, in the state of Florida. You don't have to worry that criminals are going to be let back onto the streets over and over again through the woke revolving door of the leftist justice system in courthouse. You don't have to worry that repeat offenders are going to be back on the streets threatening public safety. They will be locked away and law and order will be upheld. And you don't have to worry about sending your kids to school and having them come back. Social justice activists are confused about their identity because their teachers are pushing some of the cultural nonsense that we've seen rise up recently. It's not going to happen. And of course, the left is seething in relation to Ron DeSantis. His most recent actions, they continue to call him a fascist. Here's Nikki Fried on Twitter, who, by the way, is just so desperately grasping for relevance that she does not have, and it continues to get worse for her. I think the most recent Democrat primary poll, she was behind like 30 points or something, breaking Ron DeSantis want to be dictator just suspended Florida State Attorney Andrew Warren for saying he wouldn't prosecute Florida's cruel and unacceptable 15-week abortion ban. This is outrageous and dangerous. No, you know what's outrageous and dangerous? Rogue prosecutors erode attorneys who don't follow the law. We've seen exactly how dangerous it is. And all of these Democrats cesspools people call Democrat cities, not to mention her framing Florida's cruel and unacceptable 15-week abortion ban that's 2 weeks into the second trimester, that specific medical procedure 15 weeks in accounts for roughly 5% of all procedures, not to mention, there are specific outlier cases that I'm sure discretion will be used. And also not to mention, that's a whole lot more liberal than almost every single country in the European Union. Actually, I think it's more liberal than every single one except for maybe Germany or Denmark or something like that. But she claims it's outrageous and dangerous. Even though this exact policy, as we've covered through the data, is supported by more than 70% of the American public. Less than 30% of American voters agree with this medical procedure happening after 13 weeks. If anything, Ron DeSantis still has some wiggle room to draw it back even more, and I still wouldn't find it outrageous or cruel. If anything, it's the right thing. Once again, that seems to be a trend to the state of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Doing the right thing and ignoring all of the buzzwords, fear-mongering and slander from his Democratic opponents in the media, or I guess kind of the same thing. The media really are just Democrat opponents. Ron DeSantis continues to be on his winning streak. The man is an absolute savage. We don't really have that much more time in this video, at least in my allocated time. I don't like making videos that go on too long. But there's a couple more interesting headlines in the media this week with Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis outright rejects invitation to join The View. Yes, you heard it right. The View ABC. The View, the same show with their multiple hosts who continue to call Ron DeSantis a fascist, a terrible human being. They continue to use the nickname death sentence, now all of a sudden want him to show up on their show. So they could probably yell at him and scream over him and not allow him to speak even once, and Governor Ron DeSantis, his office responded like this. Thanks for the invite. I understand that you are sending this request on behalf of your team. What are the hosts of The View really interested in hearing from Governor DeSantis about all the important work that he's doing on behalf of Floridians to protect their health and livelihoods, to stand up for parents and children, and to defend freedom? Which of the below statements from the hosts of The View do you recommend our team consider when deciding if the interview will be a genuine pursuit of the truth or worth the time? Joy Behad, August 2021. You're just short of calling Governor DeSantis a negligent homicidal sociopath, because that's what he is. She added, what is he doing? He's risking the lives of children, children's parents, their grandparents, anyone they may come in contact with, so he can appeal to his white supremacist base so he can continue his career and get re-elected. Sunny Halston wrote, a death sentence. I think he's a fascist and a bigot, and in Avero, it's anti-black, anti-particular community, anti-LGBT community, and for some reason, the Republican base responds to it. It's anti-American. It's what happens in Venezuela. It's what happens in Nicaragua. Sunny Austin writes, it started with CRT, let's remember that, and those are anti-history laws, anti-black history laws. Really, you start coming after black people, what comes next? Of course, the LGBTQ+ community, and then women, and then other marginalized groups. Brian Griffin continues, we will pass on this offer. And please note, we don't coordinate appearances or events of political nature from the official office. Our role is to serve the people of Florida. Thank you came with the receipts and told them to take a hike, just like Ron DeSantis told the state attorney to take a hike again, not playing games. Governor Ron DeSantis could probably show up on that show and absolutely decimate the entire panel. But what's the point? You know, the event is not going to be done in good faith. It's going to be a bunch of angry, unhinged screaming ladies yelling at him, and what's the point? Governor Ron DeSantis has more important things to do, like continuing to work for his constituents, other politicians and other governors, how to take notes and learn a lesson or two. Representative Liz Cheney. This is why in the coming months you're going to be out of a job, because you're too busy with Washington narratives and Washington politics, and media narratives, rather than being a good leader for the people who elected you. That's simple, and Ron DeSantis just gets it. So what I got for you guys though? Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button to watch the next episode.